facing Tin, who came to hitch a ride. Mark put on his helmet and braced himself to start working. At this time Tin offered to pass a helmet. This surprised Mark. He rarely meets customers who take the initiative to wear their heads. Look at Tin's unfamiliar appearance. Mark guessed that he was riding a motorcycle for the first time. Since it's the first time, he must be gentle. Soon to the destination, Tin took out his phone to contact Ben. Before leaving, he gently encouraged Mark again. Faced with this kindness, Mark sincerely feels warm, showed a long-lost smile, then watched Tin push open the hotel door. I saw Ben waiting inside for a long time. Tin explained why he was late. Ben doesn't care. Instead, he nodded fondly on Tin's nose. At this time, Ben took advantage of the situation and suggested that it is better to go to his house to order takeaway. Tin hesitated and felt that the progress was too fast, but Ben's words that we are a couple dispelled his worries. On the other side, Mark dragged his tired body back to the rental room. However, the details of getting along with Ari reappear in front of his eyes. These sweet memories of the past seem like poison, made Mark feel intensely lonely. Meanwhile, Ben brought Tin home. As a result, Tin was too nervous and kicked the flower pot without noticing. Seeing this, Ben half knelt on the ground and helped Tin take off his socks, then gently massage him with blowing air. Watching this Benton sink deeper, I am more convinced of my choice. Turn the screen. Mark's uncle and second uncle are bickering every day. Suddenly I heard the sound of the rolling gate. Two live treasures have a brainstorm and there is only one truth. That means there are thieves breaking the door. Two big smarts confidently prepared the chili powder. Prepare to fight the evil forces to the end. As soon as the shutters open, they scatter the paprika all over the place. I didn't expect the person outside to be Mark. Immediately afterwards, the two hurriedly helped Mark onto the sofa. After cleaning his eyes, Mark said he wanted to rest here for the night. Uncle immediately guessed that it must have something to do with Ari, so Mark pretended to be calm, explained the whole process of breaking up with Ari. He also expressed regret for not beating up the BMW man, but the uncles know how much Mark loves Ari. I can see at a glance that he is trying to be strong. Then the uncle vacated a room for Mark. I asked a few more words before leaving the room. Finally be alone. Mark turned on his phone and looked at the photo with Ari. As a result, the uncle pushed the door and interrupted him. This process was repeated 3 times, until the uncle was dragged away by the second uncle. The next morning Mark got up and went downstairs. I saw the uncle lying on the sofa sprawled. Then the uncle and nephew sat together and talked. Uncle feels sorry for this poor son. He encourages each other. We must rely on our own hands to pursue a better tomorrow. Mark has already seen it at this time. Now he just wants to make money and live. On the other side, Tin pushed open the office door. Rich breakfast on the table. Also attached a love note from Ben. Tin couldn't help showing a smile. It aroused the envy of the nurses on the side. In the corridor of the hospital, Mary was talking about Akon again. Unexpectedly, she saw Akon right after. Heading to the cafe downstairs, Mary quickly followed up. As a result, the other party left after putting on makeup. Then Mary walked into the coffee shop disappointed. Asked the clerk what coffee Akon ordered. After getting to know each other's tastes, she vowed that she would take the initiative. It's not okay to rely on men to chase you these days.
ทำไมพี่ไม่ลุยจีบเขาไปดูอ่ะ
YAM is looking at Mary's back thoughtfully. Mary enters the office with coffee. I saw Tin, who was eating a bento with a rippling face. Then Tin told Mary, the hospital is about to host a thank you activity. He hopes that Mary can help their department plan activities. Hearing that, Mary readily agreed. Anyway, someone in my department is rushing to get ahead. Turn the screen. Tony seems to be a different person in medical education class. Not only blatantly whispering in class, also openly molested Sammy. Sammy is about to have a seizure. It happened that Tin came to ask about the patient's condition, but you can't hide the look in your eyes when you want to kill yourself. This beam is closed. After class, my friend Xiaodo asked Tony why he was so presumptuous all of a sudden. Tony smiled charmingly and explained the reason. It turned out that when Xiaobai asked about applying for a doctor in internal medicine, Tin said that in addition to the recommendation letter, I still need to take good care of my brothers and sisters. This explosive news was heard by the crouching Tony. That's why he's so fearless. Even keep teasing Sammy. Going back to Tin's department to see the date of the event is approaching. In order to create a gimmick of internal medicine, Mary has spent a lot of thought. After investigation and analysis, Mary decided to let Tin dance. It's about the dignity of the department. Everyone can only look at it. Even so, there are only 3 of them, but Mary has her own plans. She decides to ask her juniors for help. So Tony, Sammy endowed with 3 big grievances, was pulled over. Tony heard that this is not a good opportunity to embarrass the other party, so he immediately made an example, not only promised to dance, and by the way, I got a little weird and dragged Sammy into the water. It's hard for Sammy to refuse after seeing this. In the dugout are joking, and Mark is sullen. Curly-haired brother brought 2 younger brothers over and told a joke, but Mark is unmoved. Seeing the guests coming one after another, the 3 brothers all drove the guests away. At this time, Tin approached Mark and recognized him at a glance. It turned out that Tin wanted to buy some performance props but didn't know where to go, so the helpful Mark sent the other party to the bazaar. Learned that Tin didn't know much about farmers markets. Mark simply helps people to the end and directly leads them to purchase. Fearing that the crowd would disperse them, he asked Tin to grab his clothes. An uncle suddenly pushes a cart past. Mark subconsciously pulls Tin closer. At this moment they feel each other's breath, as if time stood still. In order to ease the embarrassment, Tin proposed to go shopping with Mark.
ผมซื้อน้ำมาฝากครับคุณวิน
ขอบคุณครับ
Just when the two were about to leave, Tin found a wounded puppy in the corner. Doctor's instinct once again prompts him to reach out. Just like this, Tin hugs and watches the puppy get into the car. Mark drove to the nearest veterinary hospital at full throttle. The next second Mark is waiting in the hallway. Tin told him the puppy was safe and sound. Mark realized that the other party hadn't even taken off his helmet. He thinks it's cute. After settling the puppy, Tin asked Mark to rush him to the hospital where he worked. After learning that the other party is a doctor, Mark was suddenly a little awed. Then Tin suddenly remembered that he hadn't picked up the materials he bought. When the material is retrieved, the material has been crushed by the wheels and crumpled. Seeing Mary's disappointed expression, Tin decided to go to the market to repurchase. Mark, after work, asked the other party to take him to the material market again, but this time the market is closed. So Mark asked Tin to put the material here. He can fix it. He said he was touched by Tin's kindness, also want to do something. Seeing this, Tin excitedly held Mark's hand, asked for his contact information.
ผมชื่อหมอกนะ ไม่ต้องเรียกคุณวินแล้ว
หมอก็เรียกเราว่าตะวัน
Turn the screen. Mary is doing a mobilization meeting for the bad guys in the department. In order to accumulate strength, everyone folded their hands together to cheer. After much hesitation, Sammy put his hand on Tony's. Everyone is very serious during the practice. Not to mention the dance is pretty good. Tin fully engaged. Naturally, I didn't notice Ben's call on the phone. It took him a long time to see the text message from the other party. After several nights of hard work by Mark, the crumpled material is built into a shape. He transported the material to the internal medicine department, received a thank you meal from Sammy and Mary. Unexpectedly, the little chubby nurse saw Mark's overalls, showing disgust. Seeing this, Tin made a rescue immediately, and invited Mark over to the Thanksgiving party. Soon it will be the day of the event. Lively atmosphere. Tin and the others plucked up the courage to cheer in the background. Mark took off his work clothes and came to the scene in casual clothes. Soon the performance of the internal medicine group began. The 5-member group makes its debut. Change formation to the rhythm of the music. The audience screamed again and again. The atmosphere at the scene reached its peak. Mark and the audience looked at Tin with great interest. In his eyes at this moment, Tin is shining brightly. After the performance, Mark waved to Tin. Unexpectedly, Ben walked through the crowd holding flowers. Offer flowers to Tin in full view. Looking at Tin's happy appearance, there is a trace of loss in Mark's heart. After the event, Tin took the initiative to introduce Mark to her boyfriend, but Ben is not friendly. He doesn't want to see Tin get close to other people. I hope Tin can draw a clear line with outsiders in the future. Hearing this, Mark immediately lowered his head. The internal medicine department temporarily won the first place in the Thanksgiving activity. Tin and Ben hugged each other excitedly. This scene made Mark feel even more uncomfortable. Then the band took the stage to perform the grand finale, people waving their arms, and Mark left sadly alone. The excitement is someone else's. He has nothing. Looking at the helmet on the car, Mark is lost in memory. That was deposited here by Tin not long ago.
เราขึ้นรถหมอกบ่อยอะเราก็เลยอยากมีหมวกกันน็อกเป็นของตัวเองไว้ซะเลยฝากดูแลด้วยนะ
At that time, Mark smiled and agreed. But now he strokes Tin's helmet and frowns. It turns out that Tin is already protected by someone.